I dragged myself through the front door after a grueling 12-hour shift at the hospital, my scrubs reeking of antiseptic and my shoes squelching with something I didn't even want to think about. My eyelids felt like they were made of lead. All I wanted was a hot shower and a collapse in a bed. I tossed my keys onto the counter, flicked the light switch, and nothing. I blinked, tried again. Still nothing. The house was dead pitch black. No hum from the fridge, no faint glow from the Wi-Fi router. I muttered a curse and shuffled around, checking every room. No power anywhere. Stepping outside, I saw my neighbors' houses lit up like Christmas, porch lights blazing, TVs flickering through their windows. It was just me. I checked the breaker box, everything looked fine. So, I grabbed my phone and dialed the power company's emergency line. It rang once before a familiar voice answered. Utilities DVY Shaun, this is James Carter. How can I help? I froze, then let out a tired laugh. Hey, Dad. It's me, Sarah. Silence hung on the line for a second. Sarah? What's going on? He asked, concern creeping into his voice. My power's out. Whole house is dark, but the street's fine. I heard him shift, then the rapid click of his keyboard. That doesn't add up. I haven't signed off on any outages in your area. More clicking than a low, angry growl. What the hell? The HOA filed a delinquent utilities report and requested a disconnect. My jaw clenched. That's not even legal, Dad. They can't do that. I know, he snapped. I didn't approve this. Someone faked a form. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, his beat-up Chevy roared into my driveway, headlights slicing through the night. He stepped out, still in his company jacket, his face like granite. He checked the meter, then the outdoor box, and pulled a crumpled form from his clipboard. Look at this, he said, show VYing into my hands. The signature was a sloppy forgery, and the form was outdated, something the company hadn't used in years. Before I could respond, a sharp voice cut through the air. Well, if it isn't our neighborhood leech. I turned to see Linda Voss, the HOA treasurer, strutting down her driveway in a garish floral robe, her yappy little dog tucked under her arm. She was the kind of person who thrived on petty power, and she was low VY-ing every second of this. You can't skip your dues and expect to mooch off the community, she sneered, tossing her head like she was on a reality show. I paid my dues last month. I shot back, my voice sharp. I've got receipts. She waved a hand dismissively. You paid late. The board voted. Utilities are part of our enforcement clause. My dad stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. No, they're not. And you don't have the authority to touch a state-regulated utility. This is criminal. Linda's smirk faltered, but she doubled down. Maybe you should do your job better then. Your daughter's a drain on this neighborhood. Dad's eyes narrowed. Lady, you just committed fraud. That's a felony. For a moment, she froze, then spun on her heel and flounced back to her house, her dog yipping in her wake. I wasn't letting this go. Not this time. By morning, Dad had the power back on, but the damage was done. My fridge was a biohazard, my phone was barely alive, and the house smelled like burnt wiring. Linda had picked a fight, and I was ready for war. I drove to the county records office, where a tired clerk with a pencil tucked behind her ear handed me my property's official plot. You're not the first from that neighborhood, she muttered, scrolling through her tablet. HOA's been busy filing fake liens, claiming easements they don't own. My lot was clean, no legal basis for their stunt. I called my old nursing school buddy, Mike, who traded scrubs for a badge years ago. What's the penalty for forging a utility disconnect? I asked. He didn't hesitate. That's federal, Sarah. Wire fraud, criminal impersonation, minimum. Got names. Oh, I've got names, I said, and documents. By noon, I was in a precinct inter-VY-EW room with Mike and his partner, Officer Rachel Holt. She studied the forged form with a scowl. This is amateur hour. Wrong form code, outdated template. They thought no one would notice. I leaned forward. They've done this before, fake complaints, fines without cause, even redrawing property lines. The county clerk said other homeowners have noticed their maps changing. Rachel's eyes narrowed. That's organized fraud. HVY L rights VY. Got neighbors who'll talk. I nodded. That night, I went door to door. Mrs. Nguyen had a folder of HOA threats about her garden touching a sidewalk. The Clarks got hit with demands to repaint their fence 3 times in 2 months, despite it being up to code. The Thompsons were fined for a broken lamp post on common ground. Every letter had Linda's signature. The next day, I handed the stack to Mike and Rachel. They dug into the HOA's corporate filings and found a bombshell. Linda had opened a private account under the HOA's name, funneling fines into it. "She's laundering the money," Rachel said flatly. "If any went to personal expenses, that's embezzlement." They got a warrant. By the next week, officers stormed the HOA's Officia Gaudy room in the community clubhouse Linda treated like her personal kingdom. I was there when they walked in. Linda, in a red silk blouse and holding a boss lady mug, went pale as Rachel announced the investigation. "You can't just barge in here," she snapped. Rachel held up the warrant. "We're seizing all records, financials, minutes, enforcement correspondence." Linda tried to hide her laptop in a drawer, but Rachel snatched it. "That's EVY Denke. Don't make this worse." Her VYC president, an older guy named Harold, tried to slip out the back. He didn't get far. 2 officers were waiting. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors gathered on the clubhouse lawn, some furious, others shell-shocked. I climbed onto the fountain base, holding up the county map. "This proves they've been lying about our lots. These documents show they've been stealing from us." I held up the forged utility form. "This almost killed me when my medical equipment failed." Okay, that was a stretch, but it landed. The crowd erupted curses, gasps, shouts about Christmas light fines, and threats over parking. Mike gave me a nod. He knew I wasn't done. I filed a CIVYL suit against the HOA for illegal enforcement and damages. My lawyer, Emily, a no-nonsense woman with a knack for cutting through red tape, warned they'll try to settle fast. "You're holding a grenade." "No settling," I said. "They don't walk away from this." Neighbors dropped AFIDA VYTS into a mailbox. I set up over 30 signatures in a week. The tide was turning. Emily called at dawn one day, her voice sharp. "They're claiming the forged documents were a clerical error. They've burned Dula $16,000 of community money on legal fees already." I filed an injunction to freeze their accounts. Meanwhile, a new violation notice appeared on my mailbox, something about excessive foot traffic. I tore it down, snapped a photo, and added it to my EVY Denke folder. Rachel met me later, out of uniform, her face grim. We traced Linda's account. She wasn't just embezzling, she was laundering through a fake nonprofit. Vacation home in Arizona, a leased Mercedes, private school tuition, all from HOA funds. She handed me a folder. "It gets worse. They kept a second set of books, backdating fake violations to justify liens. 3 homes were foreclosed, elderly owners, no family, pressured into signing quick deeds." My stomach churned. "The holding company?" Signed by Harold. Rachel's voice was low. "That's real estate fraud, elder abuse, and conspiracy. We need proof they targeted utilities." I pulled out my security drive. One clip showed Harold at my meter box on the phone. "Just say the payment bounced. Her dad's not in this zone anymore. He won't know." That clip sealed it. The investigation went public. News vans swarmed our street, reporters grilling neighbors with years of complaints. Footage of Linda in handcuffs aired at 6 p.m., her silk blouse swapped for a gray suit. The DA held a press conference, laying out the forged documents, fake nonprofit, and property theft. A grand jury indicted 9 people, 3 board members, 2 proxy notaries, and a broker laundering the flipped homes. Emily called from the courthouse. "They're offering a settlement, restitution, damages, and apology. They want it quiet." I stood in my driveway, staring at the house they tried to take. "No," I said, "not until the board's gone." We held a community meeting at the library, standing room only. I laid out the plan. Disband the HOA leadership, appoint a temporary oversight committee, and audit every dollar spent in 5 years. The vote was unanimous. Mrs. Nguyen helped Mr. Thompson down the steps, both smiling for the first time in months. Emily leaned over. "You just took down a corrupt empire." I shrugged. "They forced me to." At a fire station meeting weeks later, a man from 2 streets over stood, clutching a binder. My mom lived on Oak Lane before she passed. She said the HOA was harassing her, threatening to take her house. He held up a notarized letter from his mother, Judith, claiming Dixon pressured her to sign a deed transfer. The room went quiet. Rachel stepped forward. We reopened her case. Found 5 more like its elderly owners, perfect homes, suddenly in default. That's racketeering. She revealed emails from Harold's laptop, outlining plans to target vulnerable residents and flip their homes into vacation rentals. A voice memo sealed it. Harold's voice, cold and calculating, saying, "File the lien, lock the utilities. Kellen's house is next." The FBI raided Harold's second home, finding a hidden ledger. Linda faced tax fraud for her fake nonprofit and obstruction for deleted emails. Arrests piled up. We created a transparency portal for community expenses, renamed the neighborhood Willow Creek Hollow after a sturdy tree in the park, and held a dedication ceremony. Kids played, burgers grilled, and neighbors fed no robes, no threats, just peace. My dad stood beside me that day, arms crossed. Never thought I'd see a nurse take down a scam with a security clip. I laughed dryly. I didn't do it alone. He handed me a photo of Harold and my meter box. Keep it. A reminder of how close they got. That night, my porch was quiet, lights glowing, the wind soft through the trees. Justice came slow, but it came hard, and it stuck. What do you think? Could you have fought back like Sarah, or would you have paid the fines to avoid the hassle? Should HOAs have the power to touch utilities at all? Drop a comment. Hit that like button if you're Team Sarah, and subscribe for more stories that'll make you question who's really running your neighborhood.